the one, the only, Ben Sion. Good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube Daily Double. Today we're doing Shekalim, Perek Dalid, Mishnayos, Vov, and Zion. Mishnah Vov says, "Amachtash nechasa vayu behen dvarim." Someone is about to die. He decides, I'm not going to give an inheritance to my kids. I want to make all my possessions hektish to the Beis HaMikdash. Dvarim aruyin lekarbanos hasibor yinastu lumanim b'schara. And Divrei Rebbe Akiva says that things which are fit for karbanos hasibor, right? Kegon, Rav Bartimur says, like Torres, there are spices that would be used for the Torres, or wines, or oils, or flowers. The next mission will discuss actual animals. Here we're not talking about animals, right? You give those to the Umnin B'Scharan. You give the Torres, these spices, to the workers in the Beis HaMikdash, and they get paid from the Shum Zalishka. You give it to them. Divrei Rebbe Akiva, Amrlo, and they get to use it because it's mischalel. Once you give it to them as a tashlum, as a payment for their service, so therefore it loses its kedusha. Even though it's makdish, it loses kedusha once it goes in their hands. Amrlo ben Azar, as I said to Rebbe Akiva, Einahi Amida. That's not how it works. El Mafrishin, they wouldn't lose their kedusha like that. What do you have to do? Mafrishin mehen schar u'manin. You would take from the Shumas Halishka, you would take money, right, and you would set it aside to be paid to these workers. And these, the Torres, or these oils and wines that they donated, this person donated, right, you redeem it on to that money. So now the money, the kedusha goes to on the money, right, and the kedusha goes on these things, on the Torres and things like that, and the money goes out. Sorry, the kedusha leaves from the Torres and the oils, and it goes on to the money. Even also on the umnim b'scharan, you give the Torres, you give these things, the spices, you give the wines, the oils to the people, to these workers for their wages. And then you use the New Year's money on Aleph Nisan to buy it back from them. Just like we saw yesterday by Torres, by Shairei Torres, things were left over the Torres. You have to do this fancy scheme in order not to disgrace Hektish. You want to do it in a way that doesn't look like you're selling it and buying it back. So therefore, you buy for Juma Kadasha, and then the it becomes Kadosh. Again, these things, and they can be used for the Torres and for things to accompany Karbanos, and it can be used for those things. And the money that is left now goes into the hands of the workers, and it's free of kedusha. The truma alisha gets dischalel, right? It gets exchanged. The kedusha goes back onto these things, and the money is cool, and they can use it for whatever they want. Zayin amaktish nechasa. Let's say someone is maktish all his possessions. V'haisa behen behema real gam back. Now, in the previous Mishnah, we didn't talk about he didn't have animals in his possession. Now he has animals that are fit, they're the proper age, and they don't have mumim, they don't have blemishes. They could be offered on his beach. Skarim in the kavos. He has some animals that are males and some females. Those are all merskarim yimakru l'tzarchei olos. The ones that are male, a male sheep could be used as a korban ola. However, you sell it for money that could be used in the future to bring olos or to accompany a korban ola. When the kavos yimakru l'tzarchei zivlei shlam, the kavos are not brought as olas. An ola has to be an animal which is a zachar, a male animal. The females you sell for things that can be used, either karbanos or things to accompany shlamim. And the money that you get, that you procure, right, from buying these things, from selling these things, that money goes to the bedek habayis for the upkeep of the Beis HaMikdash. That's what the money is used for. Rabbi Yeshua says no. If you have male animals, bring them as a korban ola. Now, not an olas chol, but olas and dava at least. The kavos you makru l'tzarchei zivchei shlam. The kavos you can't do that. So therefore, you sell for zivchei shlam. You would man olos, and you use the money to bring olos. The reason olos is brought for both of them is because olos are completely to Hashem. We assume this person wants to give an adava to Hashem. Ushar nechasim yiplu bedek habayis. The rest of the money that you get from it, you go to the bedek habayis. Rabbi Kiva Omer. He says, "Roani as Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Yeshua." I agree more with Rabbi Elazar's opinion than Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Elazar Hishas Midos, Rabbi Yeshua Chalak. According to Rabbi Elazar, you don't use any of the animals for korbanos; you sell all of them. According to Rabbi Yeshua, the scharim, the male animals, used for korbanos, and the females not. So Rabbi Elazar makes more sense. Amar Rabbi Papayas, Shamati Divrei Shneim. He says no. Both Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Yeshua could be right. Shamakdish Vafeirush Kedivrei Rabbi Elazar. Someone who says explicitly, what does it mean explicitly? So the Rav explains that he said, I'm donating my animals and my nechasim to Bedek Habayis. So he says, I'm donating both of them to Bedek Habayis. So therefore, he specifically was, the way I understand it, I disagree with the way Rav explains it. Once I split Behema, so that makes sense. So that would be like Rabbi Yeshua, right? Sorry. Sha'amakdish befeirush kedivrei Rabbi Elazar. Okay, let me go back. I'll explain it to Rav because it makes more sense. If he says befeirush, animals and my nechasim, so therefore he equated the animals to the rest of the nechasim. So you go like Rabbi Elazar, you sell everything. You don't use anything for karbanos. Hamakdish tam, whoever is makdish all is nechasim, then it's like Rabbi Yeshua. You try as much as you can to bring it as a korban. The only korban realistically you want to bring is an olah, because he wouldn't want it to be a shlamim is not entirely used for Hashem. It's used for the Beis Hamikdash. Part of it is given to the Kohanim, part of it is given to the owner. So therefore, we have to assume it's always for an olah, like Rabbi Yeshua said. So the males could be used in olah. The females have to be sold for the purposes of olahs. So therefore, if he's makdish tam, Rabbi Payas says we paskin like Rabbi Yeshua that you try to use it for a korban if it's possible. The Rav says halacha is like Rabbi Akiva. Halacha follows Rabbi Akiva. Basically says halacha is like Rabbi Elazar. You do not use it specifically for karbanos. I'll explain in greater detail the machlokes between Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Yeshua in Ian Mitzion coming up next.